Good morning, ladies. I'm out on my back porch again. I just got done with my workout, hence my hair is still quite wet. Got out of the shower. And I needed this workout this morning because I needed to kind of process something a little bit that has come up in my life again. And I figured if it's coming up in my life, you're probably dealing with it as well. So I might as well jump on here and just share it. So, special needs parenting is like a whirlwind, right? We go through these phases of first getting the diagnosis and then diving into research mode and trying to keep up with all the different doctors and specialists that we're supposed to go and see with our child, and we just dive right in and never really take the time to sit back and analyze the situation, process it even. So what this eventually led to for me was that the relationship between me and my husband started to crack. And neither one of us really necessarily noticed it in the moment because we were both busy. My son was diagnosed and born and in the NICU for 3 months, and me and him took on different roles. He had to suddenly be the sole income winner and go out and support all 6 of us, which put a lot of strain on him. And I took on the caretaker role and stayed home with Wyatt. Really, we never had time to think about it. We just took on those roles because we knew we had to. What got lost in the mix along the lines was the relationship between the 2 of us that's at the bottom of all of this. And that's a really tough thing to admit. And where do you go from there once you admit that? So I guess the breaking point was kind of when we felt like we had nothing left to say to each other. We each had given up a lot. We each lost some friends, and of course, as you know, lost the ability to go out and have a social life. My husband gave up everything that meant something for him to, for example, his car. He used to have a Mustang Saleen. That was his baby, that was his toy that he worked on, but he sold it to support us financially, to get us through. He gave up going out with his friends, and he's a social butterfly. He needs that kind of stuff. And what it really came down to was our talks that we did have evolved around finances and what the kids needed. And that's it. Just the daily crap that we were dealing with. That's all we had left to talk about because neither one of us had a life outside of the special needs parenting gig. And it never really occurred to us how much of a toll that would take in the long run on both of us. So if you're in a similar situation, just first of all, know you're not alone. And second of all, I encourage you to really look at your relationship with your husband, with your partner, boyfriend, whoever it is, and analyze it for what it truly is at this point. Are you still technically in the relationship, or are you just living together? Because that's what it came down to us. And I know that sounds really harsh, but we were literally at that point 3 years into this, just roommates. He took on his role, I took on my role, and there wasn't much of anything left. Of course, intimacy went out the window with that, and then I had my burnout moments and my breakdowns, and he took care of me. So on top of going out at 6 in the morning and usually not coming home till 8 o'clock at night, he then took over for me when he came home because I was so worn out I couldn't function. So he came home and then took care of Wyatt. He took the night shift and then did it all over again for months, years. But I was in such a state of being done and stressed out and overwhelmed that I didn't even realize, much less have the energy to figure out what his needs were. And while I've come out of this caregiver burnout and I'm in a position now to look back and actually appreciate the struggles that I've gone through to be the person that I am today. My one regret is that I never took the time to see my husband's point of view. He had to not only take care of all of us financially and basically keep the household together, but then he had to come home and take care of me on top of everybody else, and I never gave him credit for that. It took us getting to a breaking point a few years ago that I realized that unintentionally I never gave him the room, the space to have his own little breakdowns, to have his own moments of saying, this sucks, I don't want to do this. And I never gave him the respect that he deserved for doing everything that he's doing for us. When I was burned out and then caregiver burnout, complete burnout, I mean like to the point where I didn't want to wake up the next morning, I resented him. I resented him for being able to leave the house and go to a job and talk to adults and talk to people who don't live in a special needs world. I resented him for that. And in turn, he resented me for not keeping it together and being burned out. And we never spoke about this. We never said that to one another. But that's where the trouble comes in. You keep those feelings inside, and it just builds up. It builds up where eventually you feel like both of you are leading totally different lives, separate lives. You just happen to be under the same roof at some point during the day. So, my point of this video, and by the way, none of my videos are ever scripted, so this is as raw as it gets. My point of this video was to really let you know the only way to fix this, and I might sound like a broken record at this point, is to take care of you. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're essentially putting that burden on your husband, your boyfriend, partner, whoever it is, because they then also have to worry about you on top of taking care of the finances, on top of whatever role they took on since becoming a special needs parent. And let's face it, they're guys. They're not going to come up and just tell you this. They're not going to sit down and have a little heart-to-heart. But they still see you. They still see what you're going through. They're still worried about you. They still want to help you but don't know how. And eventually, if you don't take care of yourself, it could be fatal for your relationship. So what this really in the end boils down to is they can't help you. They want to, and they would take their last shirt off their backs to give it to you, but they can't help you in the end. You have to be the one to help yourself. So maybe right now you're scraping by on a bunch of happy pills that you've been subscribed by, your therapist or your counselor or your psychiatrist, and you're getting by on antidepressant and anti-anxiety drugs. There's definitely a time and place for those, but are they really helping you? Are they helping you move forward to take action to change things, or are they just numbing the situation? It's a question you have to ask yourself. And I'm not saying there's not a time and place for seeing a psychiatrist, psychologist, counselor, whatever you want to call them. But you have to judge for yourself, is that working for you? Is that actually helping you make progress, or are you just going there to once again complain about your day, take the next pill, and then nothing changes? How long are you going to do that? Yes, I'm being intentionally in your face right now, and calling you out on stuff that is going to make you really uncomfortable. But this relationship issue is a big deal. Don't lose your relationship over the fact that you're too scared to take action. Nobody can save you out of the situation except yourself. And amazing things happen when you do, because when you take care of yourself, your husband, your partner, boyfriend will see that. They will start to see the old you again. And you're not going to be exactly the same person you were before. That's okay. You don't have to be. And technically you can't be after everything you've been through. But parts of you are still there. They're still in you. You just have to dig them back out. And it's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. And it's going to be very uncomfortable. But the result is so worth it. You don't want to lose a relationship over this special needs parenting world. You don't want to lose a relationship over the fact that both of you had to take on different roles and now you resent yourselves. It's not worth it, and it doesn't have to be that way. So if that is something you're struggling with, I've been there. I've been through that as well, on top of everything else that I've already talked to you ladies about. I've been through that part as well. It's not a fun place to be, but you have to deal with it. Do yourself that favor. If you need someone to talk to, you know where to find me.